Hey guys, welcome to another game of Mechabellum. We are going to be in low MMR. This is just getting into 1000 MMR, maybe 1050, 1100, somewhere in there. And this game is going to be a little bit of a one-sided beating match. So we're going to look at the mistakes that one side is making and how to avoid making those mistakes so that you can play a better game. So we are starting with fangs and sledgehammers. It's a nice, slow and easy front line. And let's go ahead and adjust the camera a little bit. I prefer to play with this angle where I can kind of see everything nice and even and just balance it out. Now, what we have is an opponent going arc lights and some marksman. He does not buy any chaff. So right off the bat, we're seeing some issues with not having a screening force. His sledgehammers are kind of just acting as the absorption from to protect the marksman. But I don't think this is going to work out for him. So King Neckbeard ends up with... I've done this before. I've done this as a Mechabellum player where I just don't buy chaff. I just buy chaff clear and damage units, and that's it. And we'll see if that works out. So we're closing our front lines and starting to exchange fire. And we see basically how important the chaff are, because this marksman is just firing at these small cheap fangs and they're absorbing multiple shots. This costs him the match or the round anyway, because now my sledgehammers have a chance to get close. They survive until this end of the round, and that's basically it. It's a very close round. This could have gone either way, right? You took 100 damage, that was it. We both get options to get crawlers. Both of us take it, because crawler level 2 is a great pick. This is the first big mistake that we see, however, is he puts the crawlers over here, like almost right at the front line. I put my crawlers in his flank, which is kind of, in my opinion, that's where crawlers should be. Get in there and distract the marksman, distract the other units, so that our front line can just plow through, sort of divide and conquer. We're going to focus on clearing out one part of his units. Even if he kills our chaff, it's not going to matter, because we're going to get up to his towers and take it out. Went ahead and bought these attack and defense enhancements. You know, there's some people that would say don't buy these early. You know, I think if you've got a spare $100 and you can't, if you've capped out your unit production, you know, just go for it. It's not that big of a deal. So his arc light does not draw aggro to the crawlers, and basically his marksman gets wiped out instantly. So this costs him the round, because we immediately take this tower, and in the middle of the fight he's getting the debuff and just slaughters the rest of his units. Just not even close. He gets a little bit, he gets a few surviving crawlers, and they kind of get up in our business, but it's way too little too late, because our sledgehammers here are going to deal with those, and that is match. So no major mistakes here. Nothing too crazy. He could easily recover from this, right? We're still at this point where it's not too bad. I get underground threat because I love underground threat. I love the idea of just distracting his entire center line here with crawlers that just come out of the ground. It's fantastic. He does put an arc light right here in the corner and drops in his intensive training, which is a cool idea. Okay, he's sick of this flank. He wants to deal with it. These crawlers are going to deal with that flank. So he thinks he's good at that point. The underground threat is going to mess up his day. And I drop in some Stormcallers because I love a ranged unit like that with area of effect against slow-moving sledgehammers, slow-moving arc lights, and marksmen, and it just directly counters his build, right? Did a little bit of asymmetrical putting him on this side, just because that's where most of his stuff is. But this arc light makes short work of our left flank there, our flank attack, but it's distracted. All his units here are tied up with these crawlers just coming out of the woodwork, and that costs him the front line here because we get to pound on all these sledgehammers, and then our sledgehammers are getting through, distracting his marksmen. Our marksmen are taking out his, and that is basically it. It's a simple, what could he have done differently? Well, I think it's a mistake to just not have fangs up here, up close, to absorb fire from the sledgehammers and absorb the marksman fire. Like, he's just not responding with Traff correctly. Advanced shield device, I think this is a mistake. It doesn't help him enough. We took enhancement module because it's fantastic. Even though I don't have anything I'm going to put this on right now, and I've heard some YouTubers say, don't buy modules unless you can slam them down immediately. I don't entirely agree. He buys Elite Marksman. This is the mistake that costs him the game, in my opinion, because the Elite Marksman is great. It's fine as a tech, but it's not going to help him get through the fangs. So the fangs are going to absorb his shots from these marksmen, and essentially it's a wasted amount of money. And we are just going to continue with our developing our build here. Dropped in some Mustangs because I just wanted a little more chaff clear against these crawlers on this side, and also provide something that's going to, towards the end of the match, kind of just be a little extra chaff. This left side is holding up pretty well for him. This shield is holding pretty well and protecting some of his units, but it's just not quite enough. I do have range on my marksman, which is better. I think it's better to get range instead of the elite when you're starting out, just because you can get those hits in earlier, and that pretty much wraps up round 4. So yeah, he made a couple mistakes there in terms of I go ahead and grab heavy armor because that's fantastic. Now, that's where the game turned, I think, was where he upgraded these instead of putting fangs or crawlers or something to distract our front line. All right, so he also puts down missile defense right here, which, okay, that's one way to go, but I don't think it's the right play. And again, this shield is just not countering my build. It doesn't. Now, I can finally use these modules. I'm going to buy worms, because against his build of marksman back here, they're all kind of in a line. He's trying to just kill everything that comes into his side of the map. We are just going to drop in worms that will bypass that range advantage of those marksmen. The worms essentially are probably one of the best counters against a marksman build like this, and we're going to see that in a second here. The armor module on this worm is actually what wins us this game, or at least this match anyway. Well, this match and the game. So that extra bit of HP is surprisingly effective, and you'll see why in a second. Everything else pans out exactly the way as was before. His tank units get chewed up. Our Our Stormcallers are a little bit less effective because they're getting shot down by the missiles. Our Mustangs here are absorbing fire from these marksmen and doing a pretty good job. His crawlers get through and start ripping into our Stormcallers. But these worms have taken the tower, and both of them are still alive. So, because of this tower being down and the debuff, we just handily mop up the rest of his right side. And both worms being alive is 800 points of damage. And that is enough to go boom, boom. He would not have lost that game on round 5, except for the fact that that we bought this enhancement module, and it added that extra chunk of HP, and that allowed that worm to survive. So there you go. It was a round 5 skunk. We took no damage at all, and key points here were lack of chaff for our opponent on both sides, buying elite marksman too early, and really just not efficiently responding to the flank and not focusing on pushing down into the dealing with our front line in a way that was sufficient. So hope that was entertaining and usable for you guys, but until next time, later.